This is where the leaders and personalities of Kansas come to talk about their lives, careers, and lessons learned along the way. This week, I visit with an award-winning public servant recognized for guiding his community through the pandemic, and he is helping the town of Bel Aire thrive as one of the safest, most desirable places to live in Kansas. We'll learn Ty Lasher's secret for success and what experience has taught him about leadership and the value of small-town life. Bel Aire City Manager Ty Lasher is our guest for the next half hour, one-on-one. It's a pleasure to welcome Bel Aire City Manager Ty Lasher to the program. Ty, I've been wanting you to be on this program, and we finally pulled it off. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Victor. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
You know, one thing that's intriguing about you is that you grew up on the farm, Ty. You were a farm boy, ending up becoming a city manager, leaving the farm and moving to the city. How did this all begin?
That's a good question. I get that a lot. How does a farm boy be a city manager? And people that grow up on the farm, you realize, especially when you're young, that you miss out on a lot of things that city kids do. We didn't have cable TV out on the farm, and of course I grew up in the farm in the 70s and 80s, so life was different back then. We had a party line for our telephone, so there were 3 neighbors that shared the same phone. As I said, we didn't get cable, so when MTV came on, we didn't get any of that. Of course, if you wanted to go to the movies or go to a restaurant, the nearest town was Lawrence, which was 20 minutes away. Mm-hmm. As I grew up, I realized that I'm missing out a lot from being in a city. And so when I went away to college in Olathe, Kansas, learned a lot about the things that I were missing and enjoyed living in the city. And it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy going.
You got exposed.
Yes. Doesn't mean that I look back fondly of living on the farm and all the things that I got to do and experience on a farm that my kids growing up in the city didn't. Fortunately, my family still owns the farm, and so we were able to take the kids out and fish and hunt and do the things that I enjoyed doing growing up. But yeah, there's 2 lives, farm life and city life, and they're very different.
So do you miss the farm at all?
I miss the farm. The funny thing is, younger I didn't at all because I enjoyed the city life, being a young adult and having kids and things. But as I get older, I see that there's things that I experienced that my kids didn't get to because they didn't get to grow up on a farm, and so I miss that, and I enjoy going back to the farm.
But interestingly, Ty, you went to college and obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in ag business.
Yep. So yeah, and as we often do when we go to college, we're not sure what we want to major in, and then of course, me coming from the farm to the city, I kind of enjoyed the other aspects of college. And so when it was time to realize that I needed to pick a degree, growing up on the farm, I kind of understood agriculture, and so I decided I'd get an ag business degree because I understood that, I knew that, and it would get me out of college with a degree. So graduated, and then the big question is, well, what's next? So I started looking for jobs in agriculture, and I ended up, the first job I had was the Jefferson County Noxious Weed Director, which is as an ag-related field. Right. The county I grew up on, so I moved back to the farm and worked there as the Noxious Weed Director for about 5 years, and then I decided I wanted to go to a bigger community, a bigger county, and so I took the same position in Reno County as the noxious weed director there. And it was there that I decided, well, what's my future look like? Is it always going to be in county government? Is it always going to be in agriculture? And I had some people that were connected with Wichita State in their Masters of Public Administration program. So they talked me into going back and get my master's, and so I did. And then my first job for my master's program was the city administrator for City of Cheney in Sedgwick County.
Mm-hmm. So you had nowhere in your plans calling for you becoming a city manager.
Nope.
Your focus was going back home and taking over that farm and just running it and doing very well.
Yep.
Wow, what a turn.
Uh-huh.
So then you became the city manager of Cheney. That was your first. You went to a second city, and then the city of Bel Aire you're currently the city manager of. First, tell us, how did the city of Bel Aire begin?
So Bel Aire is a young city, was incorporated in 1980. What happened was the area started growing as basically a small subdivision that was outside the city limits. Wichita at that time, some of our houses date back to the 1950s when they were built. Wichita was about 3 miles south, so there was nothing but farm ground out there, and then this development that became Bel Aire. And as Wichita started annexing the citizens, there was about 2,000 that lived out there in the late 70s, decided that our fate is either to be part of the city of Wichita and be annexed, or create our own city. And they had been used to having their own community, and so they took to the task of incorporating. That was not an easy task, because as Wichita was growing, they realized that if this community was not annexed, that would stop their growth to that direction, and actually sued Bel Aire to stop the incorporation. It made it through the state Supreme Court in Kansas, and they voted to allow Bel Aire to incorporate. So in November 26th, I believe, of 1980, they became a city.
So how did Ty Lasher become the city manager of Bel Aire?
So city managers, they always look, just like any kind of business executive, they look for the next challenge, the next bigger business, the next larger city. And so was out in Cheney and enjoyed his great community, small community. But I was looking for an opportunity to grow as a manager and grow with a city. Bel Aire had a lot of exciting challenges, being just on the north edge of Wichita. In fact, that's what our slogan is: life's better on the edge. Mm-hmm. And so we've been able to see a lot of growth, a lot of new housing development, a lot of commercial and industrial development, and so that was the challenge that brought me to Bel Aire.
And you have been meeting the challenge, because you've won several awards. City Manager of the Year award, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us about the vision for Bel Aire. It was formed to be a city, but you live in a suburb of a larger city, which is Wichita. What is the plan? How do you plan to grow? How do you plan to become an independent city, in a sense, not relying upon? I don't think there's any city that's truly independent, but not relying upon, say, the largest city for medical care and for colleges and universities, et cetera, et cetera. What's the plan?
Mm-hmm. So that's a challenge that as you said, any smaller city is going to have, especially if you're a suburb of a bigger city, is how do you create your own identity? And that's a challenge, because most of the services, the retail, commercial, are all maintained in that larger metropolitan area, and specifically the city of Wichita. So what we end up becoming is bedroom communities. So, and that's the majority of what we have in Bel Aire are housing. We do have some smaller retail. We do have the Sunflower Commerce Park, which is a larger industrial area. But the difficult challenge is getting retail to locate there, because most of the retail is all inside of the city limits of Bel Aire. So what we have to do is figure out what it is that draw people to Bel Aire and focus on that. And that's where, like we've said, we understand we're part of the metro, and that's where we say that life's better on the edge because of the small town responsiveness, our local police force, and the things that we can do that a larger municipality can't.
You also have the distinction of being one of the safest cities in Kansas. How did that come about? What did you have to do to achieve that?
So, that credit has to go to our police chief, Daryl Atterbury, and our police force. The other part of it has to go with our community, because what creates a safe community is the citizens being engaged, looking out for their neighbors, having neighborhood associations that work together, that look out for each other, and that have a good relationship with the local police department. And that's what we have. We have police officers that are able to patrol the streets and look out for potential crimes, and we have neighborhoods that look out for each other, and that if they see something out of the ordinary, they contact our police.
Mm-hmm. So, Ty, why should a business want to relocate to Bel Aire? Two questions, and the other part to this is, why should an individual, I like Bel Aire personally, but why should an individual want to move to Bel Aire?
So I think, and that's the bigger challenge is businesses, because Wichita has a lot of great areas for businesses to locate, is business friendly, as we are. But I think the biggest thing that we've heard from local businesses that have developed is, number one, we're very responsive. We're a smaller government. We don't have a lot of red tape as larger governments have. I talk to a lot of our business owners often, and so it's easy to contact me or one of our elected officials, the mayor. It's very easy. So we feel like we can be more responsive and more personalized with the business. The aspect of citizens is easier because we have good schools, we have good accessibility. You can live in Bel Aire, but we understand that it's easy to get down to Intrust Bank Arena in 20 minutes. A lot of shopping opportunities around. Even though we don't have them in our city, they're very easily accessible. We're a safe community, we're engaged. You can come to our city council meetings and talk directly to the council. So again, we feel like we offer a lot of benefits for citizens.
So what is the most challenging part of your job as city manager compared to the major city managers?
So one of our challenges is growth. We have a lot of residential growth. We've been averaging over the last probably 10 years at least 100 new homes a year. So it's more on the commercial retail aspect, because we as citizens want to have everything within our fingertips, and we can do that on the internet now, but we also like to be able to jump in our car if we have to and go grab something to eat, or do some quick shopping and be out and back in half hour or an hour. And that's our challenge, is we don't have that ability. We're close to Wichita. You can easily get to a lot of the amenities Wichita has, but being able to have a restaurant that's 5 minutes from the house is a challenge.
So without Wichita, would Bel Aire really exist or survive?
So I, th I think yes. You would probably see more of the services available. But like we see a lot of cities that are outside of, I mean, we're talking, 15, 20 miles away from a metro area, they struggle because people don't want to move there, they struggle with growth, and they struggle competing. So, we really think that it's not a negative being so close to Wichita, and that's why we've got our slogan, that life's better on the edge, because we understand we're on the edge of Wichita. But that means it's a great community because you have the best of both worlds. You have a small town atmosphere, but yet you're close to all the amenities Wichita offers.
Now, you are a young city manager, so give us that vision 50 years from now. What does Bel Aire look like?
So it's really pretty exciting because we've seen a lot of growth. Our comprehensive plan, which all cities do, kind of give us a vision, a lay of what's going to happen over the next 5, 10, and 20 years. I would see it, based on what our patterns have been in the past, that in 50 years, Bel Aire will probably be the size of maybe 50,000. I see the 254 corridor, which now doesn't have a lot of growth on it, will be very attractive. You'll see commercial and retail businesses along there. So we hope to have the same type of growth that Derby's had.
And you hope to still be the manager, I take it?
Probably not in 50 years, but yeah, I'm excited to lay some of that groundwork.
Let's come back to Ty Lasher now and talk about Ty Lasher. I understand that there is more to you than just work. Mm-hmm. You have many other outside interests. What are those? Tell us about them.
So I have hobbies. Everybody has to have hobbies, and they're important to your well-being. And so, again, I think some of my hobbies transcend from growing up on the farm and what I had to do on the farm. But I like building things, whether it be out of wood, whether it be out of cars. People would probably find it interesting that as I have grown up, I've restored vehicles, I've painted cars, I've done mechanic work on cars, I have do remodeling work in our houses, I've built garages and those types of things. And again, that's because when you grow up on a farm, and to have a plumber come or to get your car to a mechanic, it may take pulling a car, 15 miles to the mechanic, or waiting 3 days for the plumber to show up. We had to learn how to do all that ourselves. Right. And so that's something that I've kept and kind of enjoy doing on my hobby, is working around the house and in my garage.
So you were a well-rounded farm kid. Mm-hmm. Let's play a little game, Ty, that we do in this program. I will start a sentence and you finish it. Okay. The first one thing I like that nobody else seems to like is?
I like being by myself. And the reason is that because for my professional life, I am with the public and doing and meeting with people, talking with people, and I enjoy that. But when I get home, I like some time by myself. And that's where my hobbies come in, to go in the shop and just work by myself.
Right. The next one is the thing about life that most confuses me is?
Politics. I work
you're in the midst of it.
and that's what's interesting about it, is that I work with politicians every day. But I think the difference is that, especially in local government, is the council members and the mayor that I work with, because we're a city, they're really more involved in the day-to-day operations and how we make Bel Aire better than politics. And so I think that's why I enjoy it, But when you get to the politics at the state and the federal levels, those confuse me. Sometimes I think that politics gets in the way of doing what's right for our citizens, and so that's.
So describe Bel Aire's politics.
So we, the nice thing about local governments, and this is any city, is that they're nonpartisan. So we don't have to worry about Republicans, Democrats, and independents and what all their philosophies are, because we really don't make any decisions that affect those type of political ramifications. It's more about, do we fix a street? Is the sewer and water working good? Do we have enough parks? Do we have enough equipment in our parks, and those types of things? So that's the thing I like about cities, is we don't get involved in those politics. Now, we do have elections, and our mayor is elected every 2 years, and council members are elected every 4, and they have to run for office. And but they're never partisan. It's all about what's best for Bel Aire, and what can I do, and what can I bring to the table to be elected.
The next one, Ty, is something that never lives up to my expectations is?
I think that's going to be, as far as professional, the issue of taxes. Because I see where tax dollars go. And the struggle I have is when, citizens talk about high taxes, high property values, and things like that. I see where that money goes. And again, I'm just looking at from the city standpoint, is, that where that money goes and the good it's there for, that it really impacts our citizens. And so that's the struggle I have, is when, and I understand that taxes are always a broad-based picture of what the federal government gets, what the state government gets, but I think that's one of my difficult expectations, is that the things that cities do with their taxes are good. Okay.
Now the next one major mistake that many cities often make is?
Allowing personalities and politics to get in the way. I've seen a lot of situations where personalities of elected officials, whether it be between a mayor and council members, between council members, really cause problems with staff, cause problems within the community, and a lot of time gets spent on those aspects and not really what's best for the community.
The last one here is, if I had to sum up my philosophy of life in 3 words,
okay,
those words would be?
Family, fun, and community.
Okay. Ty, what is your greatest fear for the future of Kansas towns such as the city of Bel Aire?
I would think the economy is a fear that I have, and what's going to happen. We all deal with that because obviously the economy, we get sales taxes, we get property taxes, and if the economy's not doing well, it affects the local governments. We see that in even smaller communities out in western Kansas or southeast Kansas where they struggle. If the economy, if business is not doing well, if the economy is not doing well, if employment rates are high, then cities see that and they struggle with that and how to address that. And so that's why we support the metropolitan area. We're members of the Regional Economic Area Partnership, because we know that if Kansas does well, if Wichita Metro does well, we do well.
So in your mind, what do communities need to do to recruit more employers that pay good wages?
Okay. So we hear a lot about when we're competing with other states about tax incentives, free land, all the things that other communities in other states try to do to bring businesses to their communities. What we have seen is that it's more about the well-rounded community that, is there good education for their employees? Is there things to do for their employees? Is the housing market comparable or competitive? Are there parks? What's interesting is, and we've competed through our Sunflower Commerce Park with large companies who are looking at other states. And we ask them, what is it that you look for? And granted, tax incentives and free land and those types of things are in the top 10, but they're never the top. It's about, how much is your houses? Are they affordable? What kind of services do you have? Do you have a safe community? And what are the amenities? Why, if we're going to attract employees here, how do we sell them to Bel Aire or the Wichita Metro, not just because of high wages?
So based on everything you've said and your background and experiences, define for us Ty Lasher. Who is this gentleman?
So I think that you'll see that I have a lot of knowledge and experience in local government, working for 2 counties and 2 cities and dealing with the politics and all of those with elected officials. So I understand what it is that citizens want, how to provide that for them, what elected officials are looking for, the struggles they have as we're in communities. But I think that they also see a down-to-earth guy that grew up on a farm, that's got a good work ethic, that understands the value of your word, the value of win-win situations. And I think that's what's helped me become successful, is that knowing that if we work hard, we're honest, we're upfront, and we're looking out for situations where everybody wins, then that's the best person to be.
On that note, thank you so much, City Manager of Bel Aire, Ty Lasher.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here and spend some time with you, Victor.
Pleasure having you. And thank you for watching. If you have a question or comment, please email us at oneonone@kpts.org. We always enjoy hearing from you. Until next time, I'm Victor Hogstrom. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.